Fred, Jeff and Joyce Lack each made enormous contributions to the Bridgenorth Football Club for well over 40 years. Fred played around 200 games and then held positions including secretary, treasurer, bar and match manager. Jeff also played close to 200 games as a wingman, then after his football career was club trainer and also a timekeeper, whilst Joyce was part of the ladies committee and performed most of the cooking for the kiosk on Saturdays and suppers for functions, as well as washing those dirty Guernseys. All were inducted as life members. Andrew Tex Eyles played for Bridgenorth from 1986 to 90, whilst Peter Gaffney played in the 70s, being named fullback in the 1971 to 1999 All-Star team. In this episode, they share their memories of the Lacks during their time at the Parrots. Well, today we are going to, in particular, talk about Fred, Jeff and Joyce Lack. Of course, the Lacks, the Pecks, the Scholliers, famous names, down here at the Bridgenorth Football Club from a very, very long time ago. And it's great to welcome two people who know the Lacks well. Firstly, Andrew Tex Eyles, you played with the Parrots from 1986 to 1990. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to spend those years here at Bridgenorth.
Well, I started off in the mini league out at Hagley, and then I decided to have a change, and Bridgenorth was just back then the obvious choice. Dad had played here and Dennis had played here and Jeff and Fred were down here at the time, so it was like just moved down here and sort of been involved with the club ever since. So.
Fantastic. And Peter, for you, fullback, played in the 70s, 75 to 77, obviously very highly regarded. Fullback for the All-Star team for 1971 to 1999. So you've obviously got some great memories here.
Well, I grew up just up the road, and I come here from small and was here till I was 15, and then I went to school down Burnie and come back, and I played my first senior game here in 1975. And no, I love the club. It's a good club. It's and my mother was a Lack. She was Fred and Jeff and Joyce's sister, and that's all we knew was Bridgenorth. Yeah.
Yep.
I was talking to my mum the other day, and she said when she first started going out, my dad, he was playing here, and she came down here to play, and this little fella ran out with curly hair, this big, the mascot, with number 4 on his homemade woolen knitted jumper, and that was Peter. He used to run out as their mascot every week, I think.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah. No, we was. It was a good club. It was, yeah. Yep.
It's amazing for a club that's now in its 100th year, and we've said this a bit, but what's been special for you guys with this club? Because there's no township, there's no shop, but it's just an incredible community. What do you think's held it together?
Personally, I was a bit useless and loose, and they accepted me for what I was. And even now you come back, I'm related to a few of them here, but they just pick it up where it was and on you go. And until a few years ago, Jeff and Fred and them were all still kicking about over the road here, and you'd go and see them and you'd find out how football was going. And yeah, that's what I enjoyed about it.
That's wonderful. Fred played roughly 200 games with the club, but played an enormous role with Bridgenorth for over 40 years. He was a secretary, a treasurer, bar manager, a match manager. Tell us about his influence and the significance of Fred with Bridgenorth.
You have a go.
Well, Fred was he was the heart and soul of the club, really. You know, beyond the gate, he'd be, like I said, behind the bar. He was the secretary. When I first came here, he was secretary and treasurer for I think the first 4 years, you know, doing the 2 jobs. And and just the respect everybody had for those guys, you know. It's just, they were just, like I said, the heart and soul of the club, really. So,
yeah, they lived over about 2 or 3 miles, 3 or 4 kilometres away, and you'd go over there and there'd be football, for want of a better word, stuff everywhere. There'd be footballs and there'd be team sheets and all jumpers and stuff spread about everywhere. So, and that was what they that's what he done. And me personally, like a lot of families, we weren't over endowed with a lot of money when we was young, but they always had footballs over there. So you could sneak out and they didn't mind you kicking them. And I used to try and kick it over the shearing shed. And eventually, you know, Uncle Jeff or Uncle Fred would come out and have a little kick with you end to end. And yeah, no, it was, to me, they were, you know, like helped me along with my football.
And great memories.
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Did you get it over the shed often?
Oh, I got it over there in the end, yeah. I could go all right with that, yeah.
And Jeff was also made a life member of the club in 1969. He was a wingman and then a trainer for many years and a timekeeper. What are your memories there?
When I played, he was very reluctant to come out to see you if you was down. So in other words, you had to get up. I remember he come out, I got shirt fronted one day and he come out to see me and I saw him coming and thought, oh no, he's not coming out. But he was, he wouldn't come out unnecessarily, but he was, you know, like he was sort of always concerned about you, but he was good that way.
And Tex, for you?
Oh, he was just one of those good old guys. You know, I remember going up to visit him when, you know, he's in hospital there towards the end of his life,
yeah.
and a couple of other footballers coming out in tears, you know, and they weren't related, they're just blokes here at the football club, and they'd come out, as I was going in, they'd come out and had the tears rolling down their face, you know, because, you know, he meant a lot to a lot of people up here, so, yeah.
I guess that's something you see with football clubs. There's always individuals and families and family members who are the heart and soul of the football club and keep it together. And I guess when you've had generations from the very beginning at the formation of the club, that one thing that's evident here is the history of the club is maintained. It's not forgotten. It's made sure that the next generations that come through are aware of it as well. Do you think that's significant in terms of how high a regard they're kept in, even today?
Oh, I think so. I mean, you know, a lot of the players here, and the good thing about this club is players have hung around and stayed on the committee and been involved, and all those guys knew, you know, Jeff at least anyway, some maybe not Fred so much, but and Joyce, I mean, she's been gone for a while too now, but
yeah.
But you know,
yeah. And there's other guys, you know, like another bloke on the thing there reads pretty well is Bill Jones, and he was next door neighbour, so they'd be leaning across the fence talking about it. He was the treasurer, I think, or something like that for, I don't know, 100 years. And but you know, it was always the community was being pulled together, you know, to help each other, and yeah, people had their respective jobs, and one guy was doing the timekeeping, the other guy on the gate, and then there was these blokes organising it.
So speaking of everyone having their jobs to do, Peter, one of the really important jobs and dirty jobs is washing the Guernseys during winter, and obviously for Joyce that was something that she did for many years. She was also on the ladies committee, cooking for kiosk on Saturdays, but also for Bridgenorth football functions. I mean, massive influence and a wonderful contribution to the club.
Yes, yeah, she was, probably doesn't get perhaps the recognition that maybe she deserves, but she was every bit as heavily invested and time-wise and emotionally as the other two. Like we used to have dances around at the hall, which is now someone lives there, and they was all in, you know, that was for the football club or the dinner, or, you know, they was all helping, but you'd go over to their place and there'd be all these jumpers across the clothesline. They used to have those old clotheslines with the poles, you know, where you stuck them up. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I guess as well during the year, I mean, the canteen is so important, Tex, to the viability of the football club as well, because you know, the revenue there. What was the canteen like? Where did that rate?
the canteen, the afternoon teas were good. I mean, only Joyce probably made most of that. I don't know, but you get your little plate with your scone and your biscuit and your bit of cake, cream cake on it. But
this is after the game.
Yeah, after the game. I played in the early game, so I didn't have to worry. I could have an afternoon tea early. So
it was good after I was lucky enough to play in the seniors, but it was good after the seniors because they were trying to get rid of the excess, so you could get it for a bit of a discount. So that, you know, and we was always hungry. So it was only 18 and 19 or something. So yeah.
And I know, just in terms of sharing a memory and a story, there was one about Easter.
Oh yes, we used to go over there, and Peter would have been there too. That Arnie Joyce had put on a big Easter dinner for the family, and there's a fairly big family when you bring them all together, and you'd be shoulder to shoulder down the lounge room. They'd have the table from one end to the other, and we'd have our dinner and then we'd want to play 8-ball because they had the 8-ball table up in the rather small front bedroom, and we'd go and see Jeff and Fred, and they'd have a bit of a sigh, and Fred would probably go and get the 8-balls out of the car because they're the same ones they used here, and Jeff would go up, and like Peter said, the 8-ball table was covered in paperwork for the Bridgenorth Football Club, so you'd have to clear all that off, and we'd open the window so you could play your shots at the end of the table and play 8-ball all afternoon, so we used to look forward to it. It was great.
And just as a side, they bought this table and then they couldn't get it in. So it was an 8x5 slate, 8x4 slate or something like that. So they took the window out. And they got them all down there. I think it might have been Christmas time or Easter time, but they had them all there. And they're all holding it and walking it in, then rushed around the other side, and they got it all in one hit. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
They're great stories. And look, we thank you both for sharing those memories, because obviously the father, Arthur, was a member of the committee in the club's development, and the contribution that all the Lacks have made. And today, as we speak about Fred, Jeff and Joyce, it's lovely to get some examples for those who may not have been a part of that era to actually see and be able to acknowledge the contribution they've made. So Tex and Peter, thanks for being a part of this documentary on the history of the Bridgenorth Football Club, because what we've talked about today was very important from a family perspective as well for them. So thank you.
No,
Thanks very much.
Niche Plants is a thriving family business owned by West Tamer locals Michael and Heather Hicks. They were planning to retire, but put that on hold in order to address a real community need for a specialist quality nursery, Niche Plants. Also supporting Just Cats and the West Tamer Art Group. Call in and see them today at 717 West Tamer Highway. Niche Plants is packed full of shrubs, plants and seeds to help your home garden grow to its full potential.